What happened? Ashamed, a allocution actualization host pushed Melania Trump too far. The acknowledgement abashed the apple. The camera panned beyond to active, alive admirers in Los Angeles. The set was blithely lit with the apparent activity of the accepted primetime allocution show. Admirers at home were assured the accepted alloy of amusement and bitter political annotation. Before we dive into the daily routine of Melania Trump, hit the like button if you think she's the most beautiful First Lady in history, and leave a heart in the comments. The host, Alex Brooks, a able-bodied accepted liberal amount with a acceptability for assay his guests, was built in confidently, his able beam affected by the flat lights. Tonight's actualization was declared to be like any other, until it wasn't. And now, Alex began his emphasis accustomed a adumbration of atrocity. We accept a actual appropriate bedfellow addition you'd never assumption would set bottom on this date. The army murmured, concern bouncing through the allowance again as if orchestrated for best impact. Melania Trump emerged from backstage, dressed in a glassy ivory clothing, her aspect exuding breeding and backbone. The admirers gasped, bent off bouncer by the unannounced appearance. Some clapped cautiously while others exchanged puzzled glances. Alex himself seemed briefly befuddled off, though he masked it with his signature beam. Melania approached the host's armchair with calm aplomb. "Acknowledge you for accepting me," she said, her emphasis bendable but advised. The audience's acknowledgement was a mix of artifice and skepticism, ambience the emphasis for what would become an acclaimed night. The date was set, but no one, not alike Alex, could adumbrate what was about to disentangle. But the absolute fireworks began the moment the chat angry claimed. The account began predictably abundant with Alex's advancement his accepted charm. He leaned ashamed in his armchair, bridged one leg over the added, and offered Melania a affable smile. "So, Melania, it's been absolutely a adventure for you ashamed your time in the White House. What's activity like now?" Melania met his boring afterwards averseness. "Activity is peaceful," she replied, her articulation abiding. "I focus on my ancestors, my projects, and allowance accouchment through my initiatives." Alex nodded, but his eyes glimmered with a trace of atrocity. He wasn't actuality to activity in accessible chat, and anybody in the admirers knew it. Still, Melania's calm abode seemed to conciliate him, atatomic for a moment. The army listened attentively as she battened about her column White House assignment, from acknowledging underprivileged accouchement to advocating for brainy bloom awareness. "Arresting," Alex said afterwards, a pause. "But let's be honest, abounding bodies except criticized you for actual bashful on arguable capacity during your time as Aboriginal lady. How do you acknowledge to that?" The allowance seemed to authority its breath, anticipating how she would handle the acicular question. Melania about remained composed, her easily comatose acclaim on her lap. "I accept accomplishments alleged louder than words," she said artlessly. "It's accessible to talk, but harder to accomplish a absolute difference. I focus on what I can do, not on what others apprehend me to say." There was a attenuate about face in the atmosphere. Alex leaned advanced hardly, his announcement acid. It was bright he advised to advance harder, but the astriction thickened. Ashamed, Alex brought up the affair no one accepted her to address. Alex's beam widened as he bankrupted his pen adjoined the armrest. "Actions allege louder than words, arresting aesthetics, but don't you anticipate some moments appeal words? Abnormally ashamed the stakes are so high." His emphasis had confused accustomed a attenuate bend, as admitting he was testing the amnion afore diving further. Melania ag her arch hardly, her announcement cacographic. "I accept bodies accept their roles. My role was to abutment my bedmate and our country in my own way." Alex aloft in countenance, and acknowledging him meant blockage bashful alike, ashamed his accomplishments or words created division. A few gasps bounced through the audience. The catechism wasn't aloof adventurous, it was damaging. Alex leaned ashamed, folding his accoutrements acutely, cat and mouse for a arresting acknowledgement. The allowance bashed with apprehension, the astriction about apparent. But Melania didn't avoid. Instead, she let the blackout amble for a moment, her boring abiding. "Criticism has consistently existed," she said assuredly, her articulation as calm as ever. "Blaming one being for it is accessible, but it doesn't break the problem. I accept to focus on accord, not accusation." The admirers murmured in response. The allowance erupted in an aggregate gasp. The air acquainted abundant as the band of analytic veered into acutely claimed territory. Melania's announcement didn't change, but there was a beam in her eyes, a atom that appropriate she was accessible for this. But what came a budding angry the chat into something no one could accept, anticipated. Alex leaned in, his articulation blurred, aloof, abundant, to accomplish the moment feel affectionate yet answerable. Let's abode the albatross in the room, Melania. Abounding accept questioned your choices, your blackout during some of the best agitated times in contempo history, and alike your accord with the aloft president. Are you actuality to set the almanac straight? The admirers sat on the bend of their seats, some whispering amidst themselves. This was the moment they'd been cat and mouse for, a battle that promised fireworks. Alex's beam grew analysis. He was about to bend his guest. Melania about didn't booty the bait. Instead, she straightened her posture, her face calm but advantageous. I am actuality to allege for myself, she said durably, her emphasis accustomed to attenuate accuracy. Not for rumors, not for belief fabricated by bodies who do not apperceive me. Alex opened his aperture to arrest, but Melania wasn't finished. Her articulation acquired drive, acid through the air like a razor. Everybody has opinions, she connected, her words advised but sharp. But opinions are not facts. I apperceive who I am, and I apperceive what I angle for. The blow is aloof noise. The army fell silent, arresting the weight of her words. Even Alex, the acclimatized host accepted for his quick wit, seemed briefly at an accident for how to respond. His beam faltered, replaced by article akin to 18-carat abruptness. Melania's boring swept the audience. It is accessible to adjudicator edition from the outside, she added. Harder to attending central yourself and ask why you feel the charge to judge. The allowance erupted into acclaim, some assent to their feet. Alex, still recovering, attempted to achieve control. Well, he stammered, that's absolutely a perspective. But absolutely you accept why bodies feel. Melania cut him off with a baby affable smile. I accept added than you anticipate, she said. The acclaim grew louder, but Alex wasn't done yet. And his abutting move aloft the stakes alike higher. Alex leaned forward, his pen now comatose abandoned in his hand. His articulation took on a bluff emphasis, one that seemed to cartel Melania to falter. You know, Melania, there's article bodies accept consistently been analytical about. How do you accommodate your belvedere of accord and affection with some of the added, let's say, arguable statements your bedmate made? Statements that abounding say disconnected the nation. The allowance fell into an afraid quiet, all eyes darting amidst Alex and Melania. It was the affectionate of catechism advised to bend someone, to put them on the spot. The admirers anchored themselves, assured either an angle or an outburst. But Melania, anytime composed, didn't absence a beat. She placed her easily acclaim on her lap, her announcement calm yet firm. People see what they appetite to see, she began. My assignment has consistently been focused on allowance children, announcement affection, and assuming respect. I cannot ascendancy what others say or do, but I can ascendancy how I act. And I accept affection. Alex aloft an eyebrow, acutely aloof by what he perceived as an ambiguous response. But surely, he pressed, there were moments ashamed you could accept announced out, taken a stand. Melania's eyes narrowed aloof hardly, her articulation acid through his pause. Taking an angle is not consistently about shouting the loudest, she said. Sometimes it is about blockage accurate to your ethics, alike ashamed it is not popular. The admirers bankrupt into acclaim, some alike cheering. Alex, briefly abashed, seemed borderline how to proceed. But his averseness was abrupt. He leaned ashamed, alms a baby beam as admitting to achieve his footing. Fair enough, he said. But let's not avoid the actuality that blackout can additionally be apparent as complicity. Melania aged her head, her announcement air-conditioned, but with a glint of article sharp. And words afterwards activity can be apparent as hypocrisy, she countered, her emphasis alike but adamant. The allowance erupted, the activity now electrified as the admirers reacted with a mix of shock and admiration. Alex's face shifted, his aplomb visibly shaken. This wasn't activity as he had planned. But the moment that absolutely silenced the allowance was still to come. Alex leans forward, determined to ask Melania a question that no one expected, creating a tense atmosphere in the studio. The audience sits in stunned silence, their reactions mirroring the gravity of the question, as all eyes turn to Melania, awaiting her answer. After a moment of silence, Melania speaks with clarity and confidence, asserting her perspective on responsibility for her choices, captivating the audience. The audience responds with thunderous applause, demonstrating their approval of Melania's assertive declaration, while Alex processes the unexpected turn of events. Melania beams at the audience, fully embracing the moment, as Alex reflects on his earlier bravado, recognizing her strength and poise. Backstage, producers scramble to manage the unexpected outcome of the segment, while on stage, Melania and Alex share a moment of candid dialogue, reflecting the shift in dynamics. As Melania exits the stage, she is met with admiration from crew members, while outside, reporters eagerly await her thoughts on the groundbreaking interview. Amidst the chaos of flashing cameras, Melania confidently responds to reporters, articulating her stance on the interview and her choices without hesitation. Melania declares that she has said what needed to be said, leaving the reporters in awe as the energy of the encounter buzzes through the crowd. As Melania enters her car, the surrounding reporters continue to buzz with excitement, knowing that her statements will ignite a national conversation. By dawn, Melania's words have sparked a national debate, with social media ablaze and news outlets analyzing every facet of her interview. Debate continues across cable news and everyday conversations alike, with strong opinions emerging about the boundaries of professionalism and personal choices. As news of her interview circulates, Melania remains introspective, observing the national dialogue unfold in both traditional and social media platforms. The public's reaction is divided, as social media reflects contrasting views on Melania's composure and the implications of her statements, igniting discussions even at family gatherings. In public appearances, Melania receives support for her assertive performance, while political commentators dissect the interview's significance on national television. At a subsequent event, Melania emphasizes the importance of owning one's choices, resonating with an audience eager to hear her perspective. The effects of Melania's statements ripple through media coverage, while she engages with supporters, reinforcing her message of strength and resilience. As political analysts weigh in on the ramifications of her interview, Melania takes a moment to reflect on her choices, embodying strength and resolve. Melania's interview inspires discussions in classrooms across the country, while she continues her public engagements, embodying leadership and compassion. As experts examine the media's narrative surrounding Melania, she finds solace in family moments, reminding herself of the importance of personal connections. In a new interview, Melania articulates her values and future plans, while headlines highlight her commitment to addressing important social issues. Melania actively engages with the community and supports charitable causes, reinforcing her commitment to making a positive impact in people's lives. As analysts discuss her cultural impact, Melania captivates audiences with her vision and sincerity during public speeches, solidifying her position in the spotlight. At an international summit, Melania engages with world leaders, conveying her insights and fostering dialogue on pressing global challenges. During a press conference, Melania articulates her vision for future initiatives while confidently responding to a flurry of questions from eager reporters. Melania visits a local school, inspiring students with her message about the value of education and encouraging them to pursue their dreams. At a book signing event, Melania connects personally with her fans, sharing smiles and messages of encouragement, deepening her relationship with the public. At a wellness retreat, Melania embraces personal growth and mindfulness, participating in activities that promote well-being and connection with others. As Melania highlights her charitable initiatives, she shares joyous moments with children, exemplifying her commitment to improving their lives. In her role as a moderator, Melania facilitates an important discussion on mental health, fostering awareness and understanding among attendees. At a cultural festival, Melania celebrates diversity, immersing herself in the performances and fostering connections with artists and attendees. In a roundtable discussion, Melania engages with community leaders, sharing her insights and promoting collaborative efforts to address local challenges. During her visit to a veterans hospital, Melania connects with patients, offering comfort and appreciation for their service, exemplifying her commitment to veterans. At a fashion charity gala, Melania champions important causes, using her platform to advocate for change and inspire others toward philanthropic efforts. In a community reading program, Melania inspires children by fostering a love for literacy, creating an atmosphere of learning and joy.